In this video, you're going to learn how to create your own economy so someone else doesn't create one for you. And when I say create your own economy, that might create a level of confusion or even disbelief for you, but by the end of this video, you will find out I ain't just whistling Dixie. If you don't create your own economy by design, someone else will create your economy by default. If you don't create it intentionally, it will be created for you by someone else incidentally. You also learn how to create your own economy so that you can thrive and not just survive. So many people are focused on survival. I'm going to show you in this video how to create your own economy and how to keep the Trump tariffs from crushing you. Now, there are a whole lot of opinions about the Trump tariffs. The stock market has plummeted in ways that I have not seen since 2020, and then before that, probably since 2008. It's gone down a lot. And so people are freaking out, oh my goodness, the economy is so bad. I promise you that there are people in the world who've made hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions and billions of dollars when the stock market plummeted, because they are not participating in the economy. They were creating their own economy. There are people who lost everything during the Great Depression, and there are people who became millionaires and multimillionaires during the Great Depression. There are people who were devastated by COVID, and there are people whose businesses thrived during COVID. And if you're one of those people who create your own economy, then your business thrived through COVID. Like it didn't just not get worse, it got way better. And I'm going to show you how to thrive when others are just surviving. I'm going to show you how you can create your own economy in any economy in this video today. But before we do that, I think it's very important that we dive into what an economy is. Now, why am I talking about Trump tariffs? So there are opinions on both sides. I personally it has no negative impact on my life whatsoever. The S&P lost, I think the S&P 500 lost about 10% last week in a couple of days. And that's unfortunate. But the S&P losing 10% doesn't mean you need to lose 10%. The S&P can lose 10% and you can gain 100% or 20% or 30%, right? If you know how to create your own economy. Like if you're not playing somebody else's game, but you're playing your game, even if you are on somebody else's board. Are y'all tracking? So what is an economy? An economy is defined as a system by which countries or regions, and I'm going to add, or individuals, produce, distribute, and consume goods and services. Think about it. All of us do it. We all produce some kind of good or service. If you didn't, you wouldn't be able to eat, right? You produce something. And I love the fact that they call it goods, right? What does it mean? Why do we call it goods? Well, goods are good things that you create that are good for other people, right? And so when we create goods and services, which are also goods, right? Then we get to produce them, and then we get to distribute them, and then other people consume them, and they pay us for the right to consume the goods and services that we've created. It's how people and businesses and governments interact with money, resources like land, labor, and capital, and trade to meet needs and wants. You can think of it like a giant machine that helps decide what gets made, like cars, food, clothes, software, whatever. So what gets made or what gets developed. Then how it gets made, that's labor using machines or natural resources, how it gets made or manufactured. Who gets what's made, that's how it's devoured. So how it's developed, how it's delivered, how it's devoured. There are three different types of economies, and this is why President Trump saying, okay, I'm gonna give tariffs. I'm gonna do reciprocal tariffs to everybody. If they tax us 100%, we're gonna tax them 100%. And people say, oh, that's so terrible. Well, it depends on how you look at it. I mean, it could be terrible. It could be like or not terrible. Like not doing it could be terrible, not terrible. Here's a message for you today. If you're so overwhelmed by what's going on in the world that you can't do anything about, you won't have enough energy left to do something about the things in your world that you can do something about. That's why watching the news is a waste of time. It's not just a waste of time, it's a waste of good energy. And they shouldn't really even call it the news. They should call it the negative news, right? Like the bad news. Let's call it what it is, the bad news. They don't report on good stuff. They just report on the bad stuff. So they should call it the bad news. And it doesn't matter if it's CNN, constantly negative news, or Fox, lies of Fox News. It doesn't matter, like ABC, always been corrupt news. It doesn't matter which one it is. It's just bad news. Why would you put that in your head? I mean, as a follower of Christ, I am commanded and commended. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are good, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report. Watch this. If there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. That seems pretty clear. That seems like a pretty clear, objective. This is what you'd be, if you want to go to Philippians 4:13 and claim I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, you better be practicing verse 8. Anyway, and verse 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Anyway, hashtag just saying. Okay, so there are different types of economies. There are market economies, decisions made by individuals and businesses. I like those kind of economies. There are command economies, where the government controls production and prices. I'm not a fan of those. There are mixed economies, which is a blend of market freedom and government control, which is kind of what we have here in America. But stop. And I'm not saying that the stock market tanking didn't affect your retirement account. That's not what I'm saying. Because I'm sure that if you have a retirement account, the stock market tanking has negatively impacted your retirement account. But here's what maybe you haven't been thinking about. Maybe you've never thought about this. Why do you have such a great desire to retire? Because most people expire shortly after they retire. I have no desire to retire. I only have a desire to aspire higher. Anyway, that's my poem for today. Okay, but retirement, what if there were a better financial objective than retirement? Is that possible? That there could be. I'm not saying there is. Is it possible that there's a better financial objective? I'd say that's altogether possible. Because when people retire, then what do they generally do? I mean, other than expire. What do people do after they retire? What do they do? They what? What do they do? Talk to me. They find something else to do. That's right. They go find another job. They find something else to replace that time. Now, all of them don't go find another job. Some of them have accumulated enough money so they don't have to work anymore, but they still find something to do. They'll work on projects around the house. They'll find something to do. So I'm going to stop doing this thing. So what does that tell you about most people? Most people say, this is the philosophy, at least maybe, I'm not saying this is yours on YouTube, but maybe it is. So it's worth examining whether or not this is your belief. I am going to do something most of my life that I don't like, so that there can come a time when I'm really tired and don't have as much energy, I can do more of the stuff I like because I'll have enough money. What if there were a better way? I'm just asking. What if there were a better way? Would you want to know what it is? I think most people, if there were a better way. So here's what I discovered. I discovered because I think retirement is the carrot on the stick that causes people to settle for less than they can become. And so because they bought into that erroneous lie, and they bought into the lie that time is money, and they bought into all these other erroneous lies, now they bought into this lie that life should be balanced, right? And I'm gonna tell you something, balanced people don't build successful businesses. You're not gonna be balanced and build a successful business. It's not gonna happen. So if you wanna create your own economy, one of the ways that I think that would be good for you to do that is to have your own business that you work on in your discretionary time. Stop calling it free time. Call it discretionary time. What does that mean? That means you get to decide what you do with job during your work time, your dedicated work time. And then when you come home, instead of watching fake people live fake lives on a fake television or on a fake internet or on some fake channel or on some fake social media, instead of watching fake people live pretend lives that you wish you could live for real, go out and build something that gives you the ability to live the life you desire to live. And so what that's going to require is going to require a lot of intention and a lot of discipline, because what's going to happen is you're going to come home from working and you might take a nap, you might not take a nap. I like naps, so sometimes I take them, okay? Okay, I don't wait for somebody to give me one. I just take it, okay? And so what I'll do is then I'm gonna go work on something that can build my fortune. So I'm working during the day, as Jim Rohn said so eloquently, to make a living, but I'm working when I come home from work. My 9 to 5 is to make a living, my 5 to 9 is to make a life. What if that were your motto? I had so many people say to me, and I'm sure say about me to other people, he's so out of balance. When I was in building phase. He's so out of balance. All he does is work. He misses his kids' games. And I miss some of my kids' games, but I also coached them. But sometimes I miss their games, and sometimes I miss their recitals, and sometimes I miss their plays because I was working. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Why? Because I was focused. Balance is not the objective of life. Neither is focus. Balance is a season in life. So is focus. It's never winter and summer in the same place at the same time. And a person is you're never going to find balance and focus in the same person at the same time. Because when you're in focus, you're out of balance. And when you're in balance, you're out of focus. And if you're going to build something that's going to change your life for generations, it's going to require a lot of focus. And guess what? When you first start, it requires more focus. You know why it requires so much focus when you first get started? Like, you have to put so much energy into just getting it started. I mean, to make your first, $3,000 in a month, $5,000 in a month, $10,000 a month requires so much energy. It feels so hard. But the reason it's hard is because you've not become the person who can do it yet. Everything that you do right now that feels effortless, at one point in your life, it was hard. Driving a car when you first started was hard. Riding a bike was hard. Tying your shoes was hard. Like, learning your left from your right was hard. Some of y'all still don't have it. Come on now. Let's keep it. No, I'm just kidding. I say left and people go, right. It tripped me out when I found out that somebody who's facing you, their left arm was on your right side. That was like, wait, what are we doing here, right? We done flipped the script on the whole thing. And so what I'm saying is, just like it's never winter and summer in the same place at the same time, nobody's going to be in focus and in balance at the same time. And when you first get started building your business, your seasons of focus are this big, and your seasons of balance are this small. And you do this for what seems like forever. Focus, balance, focus, balance, focus, balance, focus, balance. And it seems like it's never going to end. It's like, I'm going to do this my whole life. It's focus, 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 focus. Focus, balance, focus, balance. And then one day it's like focus, balance. Focus, balance, 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 focus, balance. I'm telling you, you can do, everybody watching me can do that, but only if you're willing to focus so you can balance. And you have to focus for a long period of time, for it feels like forever. Why? Why does the beginning require so much focus? Because it takes more energy to overcome inertia than it does to maintain momentum. What is inertia? Inertia is an object at rest, will remain at rest until and unless it's acted upon by an outside force. And see, what you don't realize is the success you're seeking is under the rock that's bigger than you. And you have to keep pushing, and it feels like it's not moving, but it's moving some. It's just not moving that much. And so you keep moving it, move. And guess what? Every time you push against it, you get a little stronger and a little stronger and a little stronger. And just like you're moving the rock, but you moving the rock that's bigger than you is what makes you. It's going to turn you into somebody who can move big rocks, move big obstacles. People push against rock, push against rock, the rock doesn't move, the rock doesn't move, the rock doesn't move. They say, well, you know what? No use pushing against this rock. I think I'll just go watch fake people move fake rocks. I watch people move rocks that don't matter. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Yeah. That's why we're so infatuated with sports. Like, sports is fun to watch. It's even more fun to play. But it doesn't do anything. Entertainment doesn't do anything. Watching movies, yeah, they're entertaining. They're fun while you're doing it, but it doesn't do anything. And you're taking energy that you could use to move the rock that would make you stronger, and you're flushing it down the distraction toilet. And so, it requires a lot of energy when you first get started. So much energy that you wonder if it's ever going to get started. But guess what? Once that thing gets moving, the more it moves, the easier it gets to move it. Did you hear what I just said? The more it moves, the easier it gets to move it. You got a little momentum, and you're like, oh, yeah, but I'm only making $3,000 a month. No, don't despise small beginnings. If you can make 3,000, you can make 30,000. I know that. If you can make 30, you can make 300,000 a month. But you can't get to 300,000 a month and skip 3,000. I want to go straight to 300. Good luck with that. Let me know how it works out for you. You have to become the person who can do the thing. Now, if you're going to create your own economy, because an economy is a system by which countries, regions, people produce, distribute, and consume goods and services, then you have to figure out what goods and services you're going to produce. Who are you going to produce those goods and services for? It's so fascinating because as I'm coaching entrepreneurs, one of the things that's hardest for people to decide upon is who they're going to serve. Like you ask them, how are you going to serve? Well, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Okay, who are you going to serve? Well, I'm going to serve everybody. No, you're not. Anything that's for everybody is also for nobody. Everybody has no face. There's no everybody. It has to be for a specific kind of person. And so, if you're going to create your own economy, here's what you have to do. You have to create something that the marketplace values. Okay. So, I'm going to draw a continuum on my board because I think it's going to help you understand this better. So, you have to create something that the marketplace values, but what do you have to do before you can create something the marketplace values? You have to know what the marketplace values. Now, one of the best ways to know what the marketplace values is by asking the marketplace. But another way is just by observing. You can observe the marketplace and figure out what they value. So, how? So we're gonna say over here, I'm gonna draw. This is a better way to do it. Over here, I'm gonna draw the moon. Over here, I'm going to draw the sun. Now, we're going to let the sun represent the future. And we're going to let the moon represent the past. So this is last night. That's tomorrow. This is the person you're going to serve. Now, if you're going to serve this person, what you got to do is you got to figure out, you're going to serve what you're serving them has to be valuable to them. Now, you have to create value for a market. You have to create value for a market, okay? And a market is going to be a group of people that have a desired outcome. Are y'all tracking? Yes. Okay. So if I'm going to just create value for this person, How do I know what they value? Well, values come from a couple of different places. Number one, they come from past perceived voids. So, in other words, something was missing in the past, something that you did not have in the past, it was absent from your life, that's something you value in the present. Past perceived voids. So if you can figure out a way to give somebody tomorrow something they desired yesterday but could not have, now you've delivered value to them. Does this make sense? So that's one reason why make money offers do so well. It's one reason why weight loss offers do so well. It's one reason why relationship offers do so well. Health offers do so well. If somebody's been sick and all of a sudden you teach them how to be healthy, that past perceived void of health causes a present perceived value, desire to be healthy. You show them how they can be healthy in the present, or you show them how they can be healthy in the present, and they say, okay, your future self looks way better than your past self, I'll take it, right? And so past perceived voids create present pursued values. So if something was missing in the past, that thing that was missing in the past is something they value and desire to have in the present. I think about like when I was 17, 18 years old, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 years old, 24, 25 years old, 26. I'm keeping it real. I wanted a 1968 Pontiac GTO so badly. I never got one. So 2 years ago, guess what I found? 1968 Pontiac GTO. And guess what I did? I bought it, and it's a convertible. It's like, yeah. Driving to the gas station, top down. It doesn't matter if they're older or young. Nice ride, nice ride, nice ride. But I know it's the one I wanted my whole life. And I finally got it. And I'm driving down the road. Now, you got to understand, I've got some very nice luxury cars, right? And they're very smooth. You can't fear the road. You can't hear anything. Man, you hear all the wind blowing, everything. You're driving this GTO down the road, and it's like, and I'm like, oh, it's so funny. It's so funny. The fulfillment of that past perceived void isn't the same as it would have been if I'd had it back then, because I didn't have nearly as much to compare it to. But I still desired it. And I still desire it, and I still love to drive it, even though it's like, it's all floaty and boaty, right? But it doesn't matter because it was a past perceived void. And now I was able to get that thing and I treasure it. I value it. I paid like a brand new car price for this 1968 car. Why? Because it was a past perceived void. I wanted a 68 Pontiac GTO. Mercedes, yeah, I have a Mercedes, that's fine. But I got a 68 Pontiac GTO. Yeah, I got a Rolls Royce, but it ain't my Pontiac GTO. That's my whip. That's my ride. I was so happy. I was so happy taking my wife out on a date in that car with the window down. With the top down. We went to Eddie V's. I was like, yeah, I'm in my GTO with my girl. She's like, and her hair's blowing. I'm thinking, she's not enjoying this as much as I am. This was not her dream. This was my dream. Okay. And so past perceived voids create present pursued values. But also, I'm going to draw something else up here. We got the whole, like, outer space rocking here. So the second one is present perceived virtues create present pursued values. What does that mean? That means things that people perceive as virtuous or good in the present are things that they value. So when I'm creating or producing goods and services, how can I create something that people will perceive as virtuous or good? So, Pastor LaShawn, those spices that you gave me, that y'all produce, wow. like another level, right? And I'm like, that was a present perceived. Now you gave me the first batch, but now I'm stuck. I'm gonna be buying them for the rest of my life, right? You see what I'm saying? So present perceived virtues create present pursued values. So if you can figure out what people perceive as virtuous in the present, that will tell you like what to sell them. That's why millions and 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 millions of dollars were created by regular, ordinary people during the election, because people who loved Kamala bought Kamala gear, and people who loved Trump bought Trump gear. From the exact same person if they were smart, right? If they were smart, right? They were creating it for everybody. You can vote for whoever you want to vote for. I'm just getting paid, right? Right. So, and so because they perceived it as virtuous in the present, they bought it. That's why you have all these fake AI. By the way, let me say this. If anybody reaches out to you on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or TikTok and pretending to be me and asking you to invest in a crypto thing, it's not me. I don't reach out to people on social media and ask them to invest in anything. So if somebody's reaching out to you on social media and they're using my face and my name and my profile, it is a scam artist. You are being scammed. I'm not gonna, I get it, they got my picture, but you can get my picture a whole lot of places on the internet. It's not me. I don't do that. Okay, so anyway, but why do scammers do that? Because scammers know they have no name. Their name is no good. So what do? They take somebody's name who's good, and they will use that good person's name to get people to do something for them that they wouldn't ordinarily do because they trust that person's good name. Are y'all tracking? So present perceived virtues create, okay, I'm good. Present perceived virtues create present pursued values, but then there's one over here that's so good. I actually wrote that in the wrong place, so I'm gonna move this. I'm gonna move this guy. I love this. That's what I love about these boards. I can move it to the present. Okay, there we go. That makes more sense. Yeah, I know. I'll put another red line up here. There we go. There. Okay, so then, let's not miss this one. Number 3, future perceived visions create present pursued values. Future perceived visions. What does that mean? That means if I have a vision for something in the future, I will purchase something in the present. In fact, this just happened this weekend. Okay, y'all ready? So, I got this idea for a golf invention. It was a great idea too. But in order for me to make it, I needed a drill press. And I don't have a drill press. So I'm like, I went to Lowe's, which I hate to do because they don't have customer service there. They just have customer serve yourself there, and I don't like that. So I went to Lowe's. I did. I went there one time and I said, I need some keys. They said, oh, you can make some keys over there. I don't want to make any keys over there. I don't work here. I didn't come here to work. I came here to buy some keys. Now, I'll either pay you or I'll work, but I'm not going to do both. And if I'm going to work, you're going to pay me. No. Anyway, I went to Lowe's. I saw a brand new drill press, Ryobi drill press. It was $200. I'm like, that's a good deal. Then I said, let me check Facebook Marketplace. I found a drill press that had bits, that had vices, that had, the kind I used to use in shop class when I was in 10th grade, right? Drill press this tall, not one you sit on a table, one that stands on the floor. A real drill press. And they only wanted $200 for it. I'm like, say less, do more. So last night at, 9:15, me and my 2 brothers and my son-in-law were at my house unloading a drill. So I called my son-in-law, my daughter called me and I said, hey, you think John could come help me unload something? What are you unloading? Because, women have questions about everything. What are you unloading? A drill press. And I didn't want to tell her because I knew what the next question was going to be. What's a drill press? Right? A drill press is something that put holes in stuff. Right? Anyway, so we did all that. We went and unloaded the drill press. Why? Because I have this future vision for this golf invention that's going to change my game, change my life, and then when it does, Then I'll make a lot of money off of it. Okay, so future perceived vision. So I paid $200 for a drill press, and when I reached out to the lady, she said, yeah, it was my husband's drill press and he passed away. I said, I'm sorry to hear that. But it came with all the attachments. The one from Lowe's didn't come with any attachments, didn't come with any bits. I got the whole shooting match. I have like a machine shop in my garage now. Okay, so anyway, so future perceived visions create present perceived virtues. So if I'm going to create value for this person, I have to know one of three things, or if I know all three, it's better. If I can know what was missing in their past, what they think is good in the present, and what their vision is for the future, and I can create something that they can check, 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 it's virtually impossible for them to say no to my offer. Is that cool? Yes. So, okay, so I'm going to create value for a market. But then I got to do something else, because creating value for a market is not enough. So many inventions have gone into the invention graveyard. The second thing I have to do is I have to communicate a message to that market. So I create some value, something valuable for that market. Then I have to communicate a message to that market that shows that market that I have the value. And here's the thing. Let's say, this is a really good way to illustrate this. Let's say that you speak Portuguese, okay? And I convey a message to you in English. Are you gonna buy? No. What if you speak German and I convey a message to you in English? Are you gonna buy? What if you speak Russian and I convey my message, and it's the thing you have, but the message I give you is in English? Are you gonna buy? No, why? Because you can't understand the message. Okay, so here's the problem that so many people who've created really good solutions for other people have. They don't know how to wrap the value they've created in language that the people they're talking to can understand. Like somebody said to me one time, they heard me singing, they said, man, you have a great voice. I said, thank you. They said, it's a shame you tear it up so bad getting it out. I'm like, right? But the reality is that's what most entrepreneurs do. They may have or a lot of entrepreneurs do. They have great value, but their messaging is so bad that they tear up the value getting the message out. And so what you've got to do is you've got to learn how to communicate with people the value that you've created so that they can perceive it, not just telling them that you perceive it. We have the best blah, blah, blah ever. You know what that means to the marketplace? Nothing. We've been in business for 752 years. Nothing. It doesn't mean anything. Nobody cares. Oh, we are the most prominent blah, blah, blah in Tampa. Nobody cares. When I say nobody, I mean absolutely no one. The only thing people care about is what they care about. And it would behoove us, if we want to be successful entrepreneurs, to figure out what they care about and talk to them about that and only that. Don't tear up your message. A lot of times people really have good solutions. They have really good offers for people. They don't have really good offers. They have really good products, services, solutions. But the offer that they wrap it in, the words that they wrap it in, just don't match in the person's mind, so that people say no. And one of the reasons, by the way, how many of y'all would like to get better at delivering a message? Yes. Okay, good. Read more books. And I'm not talking about novels. Though novels can be helpful as well. Read more books. Read more books so that the more a person reads and the more a person writes and the more a person talks, the better communicator they become. Read more, write more, talk more. You say, I'm not ready yet. Read more, write more, talk more. Read more before you're ready, write more before you're ready, talk more before you're ready. Stop getting ready to get ready, stop preparing to prepare, and just do it. People think they desire to have the results that I've had on YouTube without becoming the person that I've become. And what I mean by that is I started speaking publicly when I was 17 years old on a Sunday school bus with my hands in my pocket looking at the floor because I was too self-conscious to look at a bunch of elementary school kids. And now here we are. Why? Because I've had thousands of conversations to groups of people. And then one day, it mattered. It always mattered, but it mattered to the market. One day, it just, all of a sudden, they're like, where'd he come from? I was like, I don't know, where have I been my whole life? Right? And so you gotta get better at communicating your message. Read books on sales. Read books on marketing. Read books on copywriting. Books like the 16-Word Sales Letter by 𝐉𝐨𝐢𝐬𝐳 Albuquerque. Books like Copywriting Secrets by Jim Edwards. Read books that teach you how to sell better. Read books like The Challenger Sale, Oversubscribed, Key Person of Influence by Daniel Priestley. Books like B.O.S.S Moves by Myron Golden. You may have heard of him. But read books that teach you how to wrap your message. Study the people who are good at what you'd like to be good at and model them. Don't copy them, model them. Is what I'm saying making sense? Yeah. Okay. And then lastly, if you want to create your own economy, close the market on paying for your offer. Some people are really good at creating solutions, and they're even good at talking about them. They're just terrible at asking for the money. Why are people so terrible at closing? Here's why. Because your mommy told you don't take money from strangers. Right? And then you said, okay, so you let your friend ride your bike, but you charged him $1. And your mom found out about it. And she said, what are you doing? They paid me $1 so they could ride my bike. Don't charge your friends. So you can't charge strangers, and you can't take money from strangers. You can't take money from your friends. You can't take money from your family. Oh. So so the only people who you can take money from is your enemies? Like I'm confused. And so we carry these beliefs that served us as children when we were vulnerable into adulthood, and now we're vulnerable. Now we become the victims of those beliefs. Am I telling the truth?
Yes.
So we feel self-conscious about asking for the money. It's like, Myron, how much do you charge for coaching? $40,000 an hour? Notice my lip didn't quiver. Now, if my lip did quiver, why would it quiver? Because I want you to say yes to that offer. But I don't care. The price is the price. I'm not trying to get you to do it. The price is just the price. And some people might think I'm flexing or being pompous when I say that, but I'm not. I'm speaking at an event this month where I'll make, by the grace of God, probably millions of dollars. And I'm going to speak for 3 hours total. So 3 hours, if I only make $2 million, that's about $700,000 an hour. $40,000 an hour is pretty much nothing compared to that. So I'm not just making up some random number and sounding like a pompous jerk. I just know how valuable my time could be used doing something else. Now, learn how to ask for the money. Learn how to stop thinking, I'll think about it means yes. Learn how to stop believing, I got to talk to my husband, my wife, the dog catcher, the milkman, the mailman, my next door neighbor, somebody just as broke as I am. Stop believing that means yes. And start asking for the money, and then wait for an answer. Wait for an answer. WFA, wait for an answer. When you do that, you can create your own economy. So, last week, the market tanked. I'll say this. I won't say how much, but I made hundreds of thousands of dollars in a couple of days. Not because the market tanked, but because I could see that the market was going to tank before it tanked. So while other people were lamenting the economy, I used the economy that is to create my own. So what does that tell you about the economy? Well, hopefully it tells you that you are not the victim of the economy unless you think you're the victim of the economy. And your belief in somebody else's ability to make you a victim is what you're actually a victim of. Did I say that too fast? See, a person who will not be victimized cannot be victimized. And what I mean by that is, yeah, somebody else can accuse you wrongly. I'm not saying that can't happen. Somebody else can attack you. I'm not saying somebody else can, But you get to decide, even after that happens, whether you're going to be a victim of that further, whether you're going to continue to pour tomorrow's energy into what happened to you before. I was born here in Tampa. I was born in Clara Fry Memorial Hospital, a segregated hospital in 1961, almost 100 years after the Civil War. I was born in a segregated hospital. 5 or 6, 7 years after the polio vaccine was discovered. But because that hospital didn't have the same resources that Tampa General had, and my mom couldn't give birth in Tampa General, I contracted polio as an infant. So am I a victim of polio? Am I a victim of racism? Am I a victim of segregation? Am I a victim of discrimination? Well, I could be if I allowed myself to be, but I'm not. I won't allow myself to be. Why? Because I know that everything that happens to me also happens for me. And if I can learn how to go over to the other side of the situation and look at it, just looking at the other side will tell me how to be a victor instead of how to be a victim. You're not the victim. I mean, you can be, but if you're the victim of Trump tariffs, or if you're the victim of Bidenomics, or if you are a victim of Obamacare, or if you're a victim of Reaganomics, or whatever you think you're a victim of, if you're a victim of that, you're a victim of it because you decided to be, or at least you didn't decide not to be. Because the fact is, you're an autonomous person. And by the way, there have been people in the world who have overcome worse circumstances than yours. If you don't believe me, ask Nelson Mandela. In prison for decades for a crime he didn't commit. What do? He figured out how he's going to become president of the country that imprisoned him. Huh. And I have an excuse. Viktor Frankl, prisoner of war in Vietnam. He said, I'm going to live. I'm going to use my life and the lessons I learned while I live my life to change other people's lives. How about Frederick Douglass? Born a slave, died a free man. But didn't just die a free man, died having freed thousands of others. I'm not saying that racism isn't real. I'm just saying you don't have to be a victim of it. I'm not saying there are not misogynist men in the world. I'm just saying, ladies, you don't have to be a victim of it. I'm not saying that life is fair. Life isn't fair. But you better be glad it's not fair. You better thank God every day that life is not fair. Because if life was fair, a chicken would have you feed you to its kids on its table tonight. Life is not fair. It's just life. So let's decide we're going to figure out how we can discover, develop, and deliver value to someone other than us. Because if we get really, really good at that, by the way, you're not going to be good at it when you first get started, but if we get really, really good at discovering, developing, delivering, discovering, developing, and delivering value for other people, what's going to happen is we are going to create our own economy. And since we're going to do it, we might as well just go ahead and do it intentionally. Decide today. You know, this is going to be the last thing I'm going to say. Don't look for a transaction from other people as the solution to your problem. Look for the transformation for other people as the solution to your problem. And if you'll do that, I know you can create your own economy instead of being the victim of the economy that somebody else creates. I hope this video blesses you. In the meantime, in between time, stay blessed by the best, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.